If something just seems a tad bit too good to be true, it normally is. Or is it the best investment of your life? Are you not sure if you should send that traveler's check to Nigeria in order to inherit millions of dollars? Well, stay tuned, because we may have a surprise for you. Here are the biggest scams that people actually fell for. Hey guys, this is your host, American Eye. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy that video. Number 11. The Fire Festival. Imagine attending a new, heavily promoted, and exclusive pop culture event in the Bahamas. The Fire Festival was set to take place on an imaginary private island known as Fire Cay. It included all kinds of good food, luxurious villas, and pretty much a bunch of cool stuff that you want to get on vacation. Using questionable promotion techniques, tickets for the events in the Caribbean was in high demand. Instagram celebrities like Emma Ratajkowski was paid to promote the event, as well as other high-profile celebs such as Bella Hadid, Ja Rule, and Kylie Jenner. The music festival wasn't quite as glamorous as it was supposed to be, and it actually turned out to be a total scam. The island wasn't private, and people going to the festival were sent to Great Exuma, which is swarming with sharks. Some spent thousands of dollars for the event, but all they got were cruddy tents and pre-packaged sandwiches. Workers at the festival were also left unpaid. Well, at least there's music though, right? Wrong. All major performers canceled. One of the organizers, Billy McFarland, was sentenced to 20 years in jail and received a ton of lawsuits. Number 10. The Ponzi Scheme. You've probably heard of Ponzi schemes before, which are similar to pyramid schemes, and if your friend wants you to join in on the fun, they're probably not your friend. The good old Ponzi scheme originates from the Italian scammer Charles Ponzi. The original Ponzi scheme was pretty simple. You find some kind of idea that would make people want to invest a bunch of money in. Once a few investors take the bait, new investor money will be used to pay the original investors, but once the guys at the top decides to vanish off the face of the planet, there's really not much you can do about it to get your money back. Many people might mistake a Ponzi scheme for a legitimate way to make money by recruiting people, which just requires a fee in order to get in on all the cash. When the Ponzi scheme was unheard of, people didn't really suspect anything bad, and many had just trusted Mr. Ponzi with all their hard-earned cash. In 1919, all investors of Ponzi and his schemes amounted to a total of $225 million. Number 9. Fake airport for sale. Possibly one of the most well-known countries for various scams would of course be Nigeria, where you can find all kinds of neat scams. But could they really pull off selling a fake airport to idiots across the world? In 1994, a man named Emmanuel Nwood would go into the history books for being one of the most notorious scammers in Nigeria, which is saying quite a bit. At one point in time, Nwood was a former director at the Union Bank of Nigeria, which would appear to make him to be legit. A Brazilian foreign investor was suckered for an astonishing $242 million when he was told that Nigeria needed some money to build an airport. Of course, they would return back about $10 million in commission, and it seemed like easy money. But the airport never even existed, and no one even knew until 3 years later. The Nigerian federal government was sued, and all of Nwood's assets were given back to Brazil. People are still concerned that he will escape from the prison in Nigeria due to his influence and high status. Number 8. Shailesh Kumar P. Jain. Sometimes it can be a little bit surprising to see how people with so much computer knowledge use it for the wrong reasons and get in trouble for it. This guy, on the other hand, has been getting away with it and is on the FBI's list for the most wanted cybercriminals. Sam Jain was a successful chief executive officer for the company known as eFront, but that wasn't enough. He got charged with conspiracy to commit computer fraud, as well as 24 separate cases with wire fraud, acquiring federal warrants for his arrest. He started operating many fraudulent antivirus downloads, ironically enough, which were all fake. Customer reviews about their dissatisfaction flooded the web, and this man was exposed as a fraud. Credit card transactions went straight to his Swiss bank account. A fraudulent customer service call center was even set up in order to deter people from filing claims against him. In order to keep people quiet, some refunds would actually take place though. A reward for up to $20,000 is available for information leading to his arrest. Number 7. Selling the Eiffel Tower. You might not think about it too often, but for a period of time, the Eiffel Tower was just some leftover piece of scrap metal from the World Fair in 1889. There have been some rumors of destroying one of the most iconic French buildings, melting it down into scrap metal, and then selling it. Trying to maintain the Eiffel Tower to its original glory was proving to be a very difficult and expensive task. A Khan from the Czech Republic, Viktor Lustig, found some way to pretend like he was a French government official and found a person willing to buy the Eiffel Tower. When he attempted to sell the Eiffel Tower again, he was realizing that they were onto him and he fled to the US. He would go on to pull more legendary scams, and he even produced an authentic-looking $1,000 bill. Eventually, fake currency would lead to his demise, though. Number 6. Designer water bottles. How stupid do we think Americans must possibly be? Let's sell them water and see how that turns out. Seems like it was a bold move that actually paid off, and now plastic water bottles are one of the most common non-biodegradable pieces of trash out there. Are we being scammed right now as we speak? For example, let's take a look at the company called Veen from Lapland, Finland. Finland is already known for having amazing tap water, so you gotta be curious how their expensive bottled water would taste. Argued to be the purest bottled water in the world, it's priced at $23 for 750 milliliters. Some tend to feel as though tap water is basically the same thing as what you're getting from the bottle. They also put quite a bit of effort into the water bottle design, which is basically proof of how good marketing can make you buy just about anything. Whatever they've done seems to be working, because Americans drink at least 12.8 million gallons of bottled water each year. Number 5. Frank Abagnale. If you're familiar with the water each year. If you can, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, then you might know the story of our next one. Frank traveled the world pulling off all kinds of check frauds, changing his identity, and making all kinds of dough. From a young age, he was able to forge IDs good enough to say he was 10 years older. One of his biggest scams he was able to pull off was a $2.8 million check from Pan Am Airways. After escaping authorities, Abagnale moved to France, but before you know it, he got caught and was arrested by French police. He now works with the FBI, trying to help find other scammers who are doing similar things. It almost seems like he's been praised for his crimes and even got to play a quick incognito role in the film made about his life. Number 4. Brooklyn Bridge for sale. Another iconic structure known throughout the world has been used as a tool for scam in the past. Apparently people do fall for this kind of stuff. If you can sell the Eiffel Tower, why not a bridge? New waves of Irish immigrants became victims of fake property sales, and somehow he was able to convince everyone that he did own it. He used a fake office and forged documents as evidence. Parker also tried selling things such as the Madison Square Garden, Grant's tomb, and the Statue of Liberty. He got away with this strange practice for 30 years. This is probably because everyone was a little bit too embarrassed to come forward about their stupid fake purchase. He got to enjoy the hard-earned money he would make for quite a while until he was arrested and forced to spend the rest of his life in Sing Sing prison. Number 3. Nigerian prince scam. Scams come from all around the world, but no other country seems to have more scams per capita than Nigeria. Large underground networks of Nigerian scammers have been discovered, making all kinds of fake passports, false legal documents, and people are just trying to make some kind of money over here. Typically, the Nigerian prince scam is done online, and a fairly convincing email is sent to unsuspecting people. It'll state that someone has come across a large fortune of money that they have no legal right to. For example, the son of Gaddafi had billions of dollars worth of assets that had no legal owner after he was captured. In order for someone to get a piece of that money, you have to help with some legal fees or other expenses before the government decides to seize all that money. Of course, they want you to send money by wiring it, and everything stays confidential. They'll just get a 5% cut of the huge amount of money that's just sitting there with no next of kin. You would think that no one would be dumb enough to fall for that scam, right? Since the emails are sent on such a large scale, even just one sucker out of 100 emails can result in a big payday. Number 2. Other stupid things online. If you fell for the Nigerian prince scam, then you could easily fall for this one too. As technology continues to advance, some scams need to become more unbelievable in order to turn huge profits. A man named Nikolai Popescu has no concern for your money, and there's a $1 million reward for any information leading to his arrest. He's known for a sophisticated web operation where fake advertisements are set up online with what seems to be a form of legit online payment. The car, or whatever is for sale, doesn't actually exist though. False identities were set up in order to open US bank accounts. This is why you gotta try before you buy. There really seems to be no reason at all to buy a car without seeing it first. Some people are just addicted to online shopping, and at some point in time, you may have to deal with getting scammed. Number 1. Manti Teo. Can you imagine talking to someone who you thought was your girlfriend, but turned out to be a catfish? This one wasn't for the money, but actually just for the thrill of a good old-fashioned catfishing. Manti Teo was one of the top college prospects in the NFL in 2012. He had a little secret though. He had an exclusively online relationship with who he thought was a girl until something tragically happened, and then he found out it was a scam. Manti Teo had actually believed that his GF died in a car crash until he got some surprising emails about 4 months later. Manti didn't want to tell his family that they never had met before because it would seem kind of crazy. Eventually, the whole story broke out, and it was revealed that Manti's GF was actually his BF.